So what is going on, you all? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am in Mount Airy, North Carolina, and as you can see right here behind me, I have a really cool Andy Griffith mural. Looks like Andy age progression right here. You have Andy at his younger years right down here, and all the way up into his elderly years right here. So I'm going to do a little walk around the downtown area today. I'm also going to be doing a squad car tour here in about an hour. So that should be pretty fun. Gonna do a little drive around, see the museum, Andy Griffith's boyhood home. There's a statue as well, not too far from here. Gonna go and see that. I think there's also some kind of granite quarry. Gonna go visit there as well. But yeah, I wanted to start the video out right here at this cool Andy Griffith mural. So if you were a fan of the show Andy Griffith back in the day, I know I was a pretty good fan back in the day when it was on, I think, Nick at Night. This was like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, it's pretty cool to be here in Mount Airy, seeing this cool mural, and also being in the fictional town of Mayberry. So let's do a little walk and talk, and I'll show you around the downtown area and also show you some of the cool little spots that was part of Andy Griffith's growing up, his childhood, and also up into his adulthood. So I hope you'll join me. Let's get started. So the Andy Griffith show ran for 8 seasons from 1960 to 1968. There were 249 episodes, half-hour episodes, and out of those 249 episodes, 159 of them were in black and white, and the other 90 were in color. That's a pretty interesting fun fact about the Andy Griffith show. When the Andy Griffith show ended, it was actually the #1 rated TV show, and only 2 other shows in history have ever done that. And those 2 shows were I Love Lucy and Seinfeld. So the Andy Griffith show was very, very popular. I'm gonna go ahead and start walking up towards the downtown area. So I used to watch the Andy Griffith show back when Nick at Night was very popular. Check this out. It's like some kind of cardboard cutout stuff. It says WPAQ merry-go-round. This old school radio. It's really cool marquee. Despicable Me. Old Time Music Heritage Hall. The historic Earl Theater. So yeah, they got like the popcorn machine over there. Check out this really cool, I'm gonna try to back up and get a good shot of the front of this. But the Earl Theater. Yeah, I love these old school theaters with a really cool marquee. Check out this mural. The legendary Easter Brothers. Never actually heard of them before. You got Russell Easter. I guess that's James Easter, maybe? I don't know. Or Danes? Danes Easter. Then you have Ed Easter. So you got the Easter Brothers. The legendary Easter Brothers grew up here in Mount Airy. Their earliest musical influences were inspired by their mother and her claw hammer style banjo picking. Brothers Ed and Russell formed the Easter Brothers group in 1953 and were joined by their brothers James, yes, it was James, in 1956. The brothers wrote over 400 songs. In 2014, the American Gospel Association honored the Easter Brothers for over 60 years of faithful service to bluegrass gospel singing and songwriting. The Easters have been awarded 3 Dove Awards as well. The Easter Brothers have made beautiful music through the decades and always gave God the glory for their music ministry. This mural was designed and painted by artist Tim White in the spring of 2021. Try to focus in on it a little bit more. It's a long placard, very, very long placard. You got Witt's Frozen Custard of Mayberry. And here's the Mayberry home of the Easter Brothers Music Center. That's really cool. Got a guitar, or maybe, yeah, a guitar. Thought it might have been a banjo at first. Got the music center over here. So you have Snappy's Lunch, which they're closed until the 13th. Coming over here, you have some paraphernalia from the show. Looks like you have Barney Fife, Andy Griffith, Opie Taylor, played by Ron Howard, Don Knotts. And I think that's Goober and Gomer Pyle. I think. I could be wrong, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But I think that's Goober and Gomer Pyle. Don Knotts and Andy Griffith, and I'm not sure of that guy's name, I forgot. So this is the inside of Snappy Lunch right here. Have the booths, some of the pictures from old downtown Mount Airy. So it says Snappy Lunch, entrance is 2 doors down. So I'm not sure. But it looks like this is still part of Snappy's. Maybe they use this like as an overflow? Not quite sure. So maybe you go through that door back there and maybe it goes like past through Floyd's barber shop or something and goes into the other place of Snappy's. I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I've never been able to go inside Snappy, so I'm not exactly sure how it's laid out. But I do eventually want to go inside of Snappy's Lunch and actually eat. Just haven't been able to lately. And here you have Opie's Candy Store. Obviously Opie, the little kid in the Andy Griffith Show, played by Ron Howard. And it is open, but don't really need to go in there. But they have candy, ice cream, shakes and floats, bottled sodas, drinks, kettle corn and fudge. I might show you the inside of here real quick. Full of delectable goodness in there. I like that neon over there. Candy. You can go in there and get an ice cream or a float. And come over here and admire the beautiful noises of downtown Mount Airy traffic. But again, looking over here at the Earl Theater marquee, that is just really awesome right there. Old time exhibits open daily. Here's the Mount Airy Stock Car Racing Wall of Fame, dedicated to early stock car racers. You have to come down a little alleyway to find this, but this is pretty cool. Stock car drivers. Now, I'm not a stock car racing fan. I don't know anything about stock car racing really. So I really can't sit here and talk a lot about it, but I will show some of the information. 1946 to 1949. Welcome to Mount Airy downtown, historic downtown. Got the Winston Cup, NASCAR Winston Cup, Grand National Drivers. So yeah, if you come down this alleyway, you'll actually see Davis Arcade, which is right down there. I'm gonna go check that out real quick. I just wanted to stop and show this stock car racing like wall of fame. But all right, let's go over here and check out Davis Arcade. So I'm here at Davis Arcade. It says it's open. Let's walk in here and see what they got. Welcome to Dreamers Lane. What is this? These floors are loud. Okay, so I was under the impression that it was an arcade, but it looks like it's just a bunch of different businesses. Yes, we are open. Huh. Well. Well, I thought there was an arcade in here, but I guess not. So upon doing a little bit of research, Davis Arcade is not really an arcade. Arcade is basically a term used back in the old days that describes a thorough passageway that has a lot of different shops. So that would explain why there was no arcade in there. I was under the assumption that there was some kind of arcade with like pinball machines and different games, and I was getting excited, but no, there is no arcade in there. It is just a long passageway full of different shops, different stores. So big time bummer, big flop. Oh well. Check out this tour cop car. One passed me earlier, but can get a closer look now. Try to go on the other side here and get another look at it. Pretty cool. Check out this amazing mural. This is like insanely detailed. I mean, look at her teeth. Like insanely freaking detailed mural right here. So I'm not sure who this woman is, but it says Fargo. I'm assuming maybe she, yeah, right up there. I kind of missed this when I came over here. But it has her holding a microphone, so I'm assuming she is some kind of country music star. And the artist's name is Jens NC, or no, Jeks, so Jex _ NC. So upon searching Donna Fargo online, I just wanted to look her up because this mural is freaking awesome. She had 6 top 10 hits back in the 70s. And one of those hits was called The Happiest Girl in the Whole USA. And the other one, I believe, was called Funny Face. And those were 2 of her 6 top 10 hits. She was born here in Mount Airy, and I believe she is 78 years old. Now, the crazy thing is that she is still touring to this day. She tours in the USA, also overseas in Europe. So she is still actively singing and touring. That's pretty awesome. And she also has some side businesses. I think she writes greeting cards, and she also writes poetry books. So that's pretty interesting. 78 years old and still kicking it. Still doing a lot of stuff. And then you have this really cool Coca-Cola mural sign over here. Delicious and refreshing. Relieves fatigue for only 5 cents. I wish Coke costs 5 cents nowadays. But yeah, this mural right here is just insanely detailed. That artist took some serious time. So they actually have a pet resort, a pet hotel resort. That is really awesome. Bark and Meow Company. Pet Spa, the Grand Pup. Wow, hotel and resort. That is awesome. Yeah. I just looked over and saw this. I was standing right over here and didn't even notice it at first. But it is a freaking pet resort. Wonder how much it is to take your dog or cat here. But here's the front entrance, the Grand Pup Hotel and Resort. I cannot get over that they have a resort for dogs and cats. Valet parking. I guess if you want to pamper your pet, your feline or your pooch, bring them over to Bark and Meow Company. Pet Spa. Very interesting. Have the antique mall here. They got a really cool Bob's Big Boy right over here. Look at that relic. I think they have that sitting down in their front yard. $950 for the big boy, the NC Big Boy. If you want them, $950. Mayberry Country over there. Mayberry Market and Souvenirs. Oh, the AC feels good. Got Barney Fife. Doubt that was screen used. That's still cool. Got some of these guitars all throughout downtown. This one says Windows of Opportunity, sponsored by Gene and Peggy Reese, dedicated to the founders of Spencer's, F.L. Les Hatcher, and J.H. Crossingham. Artist Caitlin Lewis. So you have a lot of these art guitars in downtown. There's another one right here. This is the same thing. Artist Caitlin Ellis this time. Here's another one. And this one says, long time coming. This artist is Lizzie Morrison. Dedicated in honor of Janice Cook and Maud Cook. Yeah, so I've seen like 3 or 4 of these so far downtown. So it made my way about a little less than a mile up the road. And made it over to the Andy Griffith and Opie Taylor statue. This is a really piece of cool artwork. Got them holding their fishing poles, getting ready to go to the pond, do some fishing. This was part of the opening scene to the show. You'd see them walking down to the pond, holding hands with their fishing rods. Opie throwing that rock into the pond. It says the Andy Griffith Show. A simpler time, a sweeter place, a lesson, a laugh, a father and a son. Presented by the people of TV land. Really cool. So Opie Taylor and Andy Griffith holding their fishing poles. But yeah, this is like cast iron or something. But yeah, just really, really detailed, like down to the fishing pole here. Had the rod eyes where you put the line through. Got Andy Griffith here with his sheriff badge. Sheriff of Mayberry. And I mean, the details of this statue are pretty amazing. So Andy has a fly fishing reel here, and Opie just has a regular old fishing pole. So yeah, this is right up the road from downtown, like not even a half a mile. And as you come over here, this is the Andy Griffith Playhouse. Walked across the street, literally. There's a statue right over there. This says Stolman's Raid. On a raid through western North Carolina, General Stolman's U.S. Cavalry passed through Mount Airy on April 2nd through the 3rd of 1865. Check out this old truck over here. It says the Darlenes. Briscoe, Charlene, and the boys. Look at that. Pretty cool. This is Mayberry Hotel gift shop. Really cool old school building. And this is where you go to get the squad car tour, right over here. This cool old gas station. And this is my pony for this tour.
It's in there, if that's what you're looking for, 66.
Getting ready to take the squad car tour.
Now the first place we're going to go to is the world's largest open face granite quarry, where the stone on that church right there came from back in 1904. It's built on the Gothic style, got the bell in it, and all stained glass windows. So y'all ready to go?
We are ready.
Well, you know, old Barney likes to do that, and I do too. On our left right here, we've got the Presbyterian Church that was built or finished in 1910 on the Gothic style. It's a rather large church. It's got the tower with the bell in it and all stained glass windows. The color of the granite is the same color it was the day it was put up there. It never changed its colors. Now, when Andy Griffith graduated from high school, the old building he graduated from sat right over on that property right there. And after many, many years, the old school was tore down. They built a new school in another place and a new municipal building right there. And you probably noticed it's all built out of granite, all out of granite. Now I know you folks are young, and I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you ever heard of a lady named Donna Fargo?
Yes.
Okay.
Looked her up yesterday, actually.
Right, okay. She was a country western singer back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Born and raised right here in Mount Airy. Got her education, went out to California, taught school 2 years, made the record. I'm the happiest girl in the whole USA.
Six of the top 10 hits, right?
Right, exactly right.
Yep.
She done so well for that record. She came back to Nashville, Tennessee, done several more hit records. Had her own TV show at one time. She is now 82 years old. She was here this past 4th of July a year ago. She was the Grand Marshal in our parade that day. She lost her husband almost 3 years ago to COVID. And did I tell you she's 82 years old now? Doing quite well and moving forward every day. Folks, the 4-lane highway going around Mount Airy has been named and dedicated to the Andrew Griffith Parkway. We're going right over hit this next stoplight and we're going to turn right. That road has been named and dedicated. I'll point it out to you when we get there. Been named and dedicated to the Donna Fargo Highway. After we turn, the house she grew up in is about 3 miles out in front of us. We like to tell people a little bit about Donna as well as we do Andy Griffith. We've got 2 celebrities from the same little town right here in North Carolina. To have 2 celebrities from the same town is quite unusual, but we do have them, we sure do. The only car that we have is not on the road is the 1960 model. It will be someday, most likely. We got a car that represents each year of the show. That's the 1962 to 1967. We got a car that represents each year of the show. This they're all Galaxy 500s except this one. This is a custom 500. All the cars that was on the Andrew Griffith show was furnished by Ford Motor Company. They were strictly advertising. There was no titles ever issued and no VIN numbers ever kept up with. At the end of each season, the cars are taken back to the dealership, repainted, put on a used car lot, sold, and nobody ever knew what happened to them. I told you that to tell you this. Andy Griffith was quite a car buff. He had several cars in his collection and in some trucks too. When he retired, with his resources and people that worked for him, they tried to find one of the cars for him. They could not find it. So in knowing that, the only thing I can say to you is, as far as we know, none of them are still in existence. But if you had one of them or all of them in one place, and you could prove they came from the Andrew Griffith show, I'd almost bet you'd be worth a lot of money. Because these cars are sold after quite a bit. A lot of people's got them, but they will not sell them. And most of them is painted up just like this one. Okay. Folks, back in 1890, a man came here from Greensboro, North Carolina, looking for land to buy. His name was Woodruff, and when he got up on the big rock out here, realized what it was. Thought to himself, if he could buy it, get it out, he could make some money. So he bought 90 acres of a rock. The rock is much larger. And he only paid 60 cents an acre for it, $540. A very good investment. The company's been out here now a little better than 132 years. At one time, there could have been as many as 1,000 men out here working because it was all hand, hard, back-breaking labor. Today, probably about 60 at any given time. And we're going up on the north end where you can get a good view of it. I'll tell you more about it after we get up there. And you'll be able to see exactly what we're looking at. Now, you are one of the few lucky people. You see that tractor trailer there?
Mm-hmm.
You could say, well, why don't he put more on there? He can't do it.
Too
He's
heavy.
got a full load. It's dense and heavy. Folks, he bought 90 acres of a rock. The rock is 7 miles long north to south. It's almost 4 miles wide east to west. Archaeologists estimate it to be 8,000 feet deep. That's almost 1.5 miles straight down. They've been over here a little bit better than 132 years, gone down in excess of 90 feet. They tell us if we could get it all out of the 90 acres to the bottom, it will take another 500 years. So it's a lot of stone here yet. They cut that stone with a machine called a water jet cutter, high pressure water. They slab it off, work it into whatever the customer's ordered on a truck and gone. Back in the day, when they used to have to drill and blast and blow the stone out, they had a lot of scrap rock. Today they don't have that much because of the way they cut it and get it out. What they do have, they carry it over to the rock crusher. They crush it. They screen it out through the 2 silos. They come up with the grit, the gravel, the sand. The crusher run for roads, driveways, and what have you. 2 things they do not use this granite for. One of them is asphalt. That's the cap on the highway. It has been tested and proven that it is too hard. It will cut and and wear tires a lot faster than the softest stone that they do use. The other place they don't use it is in countertops. It's got iron in it. If it was laying on your cabinets, seal got off, water got to that iron, it would seep out, rust, and it will stain, and you can't fix it. That's not fixable. Two places, all considered as exterior stone. The office building right there, that was completed in 1903. In 1924, they built a big 5-story down on the south end. They moved down there, and when they did, they let people rent and move in this building here and live. And it never was looked after and taken care of, and you can see what's happening to it. It's rotting down. .26 down the south end of Mount Airy. He and his mother and daddy did not have a place to live until he was 9 years old, and I'll tell you more about that in just a little while. The story starts off in Andy's early teen years. Andy was attending Hamo Baptist Church down on the south end. One day he was up here on the north end of town, heard and seen the Moravian Church band playing music. Andy liked what he heard and what he seen. He asked a preacher one day would he teach him how to play one of the brass instruments and the church music. The pastor agreed to do it. So all through his teen years, Andy attended the Moravian Church, learned to play the tuba, trombone, and the church music. The people of the church thought a lot of Andy. When he got ready to graduate from high school, they made him an offer to send him down to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill for an education. The deal was he was to come back and be the pastor at the church. Well, somewhere along the line, Andy decided he didn't want to do that. He wanted to go into music, acting, stage, anything in that field he could get or do. When he told the church he was not coming back, they cut his money off, all except for a few people. Those few people pooled their money together, sent Andy back down to Chapel Hill, and he got a 4-year degree in music. Also, when he was there, he met his first wife, and her name was Barbara. If you folks did not know it, Andy was married 3 times. The second wife we know very little about, except she was much younger than Andy, and the marriage only lasted 8 years. Also, while he was there in college, he wrote and produced a record. And the name of that record is What It Was Is Football. What It Was Is Football. You can get it on YouTube if you would like to listen to it sometime. It's Andy talking throughout the record, telling all of us about a football game he went to out in the cow pasture. And it's very entertaining and very funny. The record done quite well for Andy. He sold the rights to it back in the mid-1950s for $10,000. The people that bought the rights to it sold over 50,000 copies. 3 good things happened to Andy in this period of time. The record done quite well. He and Barbara got married, and both of them graduated from college. When they graduated, they decided they'd move down to Manio, on the Outer Banks. There they were doing the Lost Colony play then, and they still do that same play to this day. Andy taught school 2 years down there because they had to have living expenses. But it come a time Andy wanted to move on. He wanted to go to New York City to see if he could get on Broadway. He and Barbara moved up there and settled in. And he auditioned for the Broadway play, No Time for Sergeants. They made a movie of that sometime later, and both of them was very, very successful. They also auditioned Don Knotts for the same play. This is when Don and Andy met the very first time. After a period of time, their relationship became just like brothers. The love and respect they had for each other was good and lasting. We understand Andy was holding Don's hand when he passed away in 2006. A good relationship for many years. Now, let me tell you how Don got on the show. He saw a couple of episodes, called Andy up and said, Andy, I think you need a deputy on that show. Talked yourself right into it, and they hired him. What most people don't know is, if they had not hired Don, the show probably would not have lasted out the rest of that season. Andy realized early on, from No Time for Sergeants, now his own show, that Don Knotts had what it took to do that kind of work. So Andy stepped back, he gave Don the lead. And as we all know and realize, Don Knotts was the backbone of that show. Now folks, Andy's contract for the show was for 5 years. On towards the end of the 5 years, he told Don he was going to quit. Well, Don had a family, he had to work. Went out, found more work, signed another contract, and Andy changed his mind. He went back to Don to get him back on the show, which he couldn't do because of the contract he had signed. That's the reason that Don Knotts had to leave the show and could not come back. It was because Andy told him one thing, changed his mind to do something else. There were major changes. He went from Andy Griffith show to Mayberry RFD. 5 years of black and white, 3 years of color. And as we all know, Don Knotts was not there, and the show never was the same after the major changes. It sure wasn't. That little church was built in 1896 by the Episcopalians. The story is they could not afford to buy the stone, so the granite quarry gave them what they called junk or trash rock. In 1896, we didn't have cars and trucks, there was no such thing. They took the mules, horses, and wagons over there. They picked that stone up and brought it over here, and look what they done. All different shapes, all different sizes, and all different weights. And they put it together just like a puzzle. 1896. Now look at the front of it right here. Does that look like a postcard to you? Now put There's a metal roof on it, and as long as it's painted and kept up, it'll be there for a long time yet. Now, the red brick building right here in front of us, the old North State Winery. There's a nice restaurant right inside the front door right here, where you can go in and have a good lunch or come back and have dinner, either one, right there. The Mount Airy Museum of Regional History is right there. It's a lot in there to see and learn about Mount Airy and the surrounding area. Right there. Folks, if y'all come down, walking on the street, you get down this far, walk down that brick wall right there, look at the statues and read those bronze plaques. There's a lot of music from this area, and that's what that's all about, with people into music. Even Donna Fargo's statues on there. Jimmy the Goat got loose and he went in an outbuilding. He ate a bunch of dynamite, and Barney and Andy caught him. And they seen some of the dynamite was gone, and they figured the old goat ate the dynamite. Well, they got scared that the old goat was gonna blow up. Andy and Barney both. Well, to go forward a ways, a man here in town after that episode built a nice restaurant right inside that brick building right there. And there's people sitting right there having lunch. And the man named it the Loaded Goat, just because the goat eats the dynamite. The front door to go in is right there, over from 11 to 9. We call it the 5 Faces of Andy, or Progression of Life. It started out as a very young man here, and ended up as Matlock there. The flowers on each end of it is a flowering dogwood, which is our state flower. Folks, look at the eyes, the eyebrows, the wrinkles, the teeth, the lips. Everything looks like a very well made, clear black and white photograph. It's a little darker than what it is, but the sun shining on it right now and it lightens it up. Now, have you seen Pilot Mountain or Mount Pilot in real time? Okay. It stands 2,421 feet above sea level, and that mountain is in that picture.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Oh yeah, I do see it behind him.
It's all in the middle face right there. It's supposed to represent a shadow, and that's exactly what it is. That's what it is. You get enough of it?
Yep.
Good. All right. The next building adjacent to it is Barney's Cafe. And you can see the sign right there. See it, Barney's Cafe. They open up very early every morning for breakfast. Close at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after lunch. They got a burger called a Barney Burger. And everybody raves over that, a Barney Burger. You may or may not. Ellie Walker in the first season had this soda fountain in the food counter or pharmacy right there. Walker's. Andy worked in there serving his own food across that counter when he was a teenager. The old theater right here on our left, that is where Don Knotts' daughter's been many times, done stand-up comedy right there.
Wow.
Right. Now we got Opie's candy store right there, Floyd's barbershop, and Snappy Lunch. Snappy Lunch has been there 100 years this year.
Wow.
Andy used the name Snappy Lunch in the first season. That was the only time that name was ever used. 155 references of Mount Airy and the surrounding area in that show over a period of 8 years. He referenced this intersection right here 5 or 6 times. Main Street and Pine, Main Street and Pine. Now, you remember Dizzy Arnaz and I Love Lucy?
Oh yeah.
Dizzy Arnaz owned a 40-acre plot of land in Northern California, just north of Hollywood. They called it a backlot, and all the buildings, streets, and everything was built on that 40 acres. And that's where all the filming was done at. Folks, our post office over here on the left, it was built back, completed in 1933 out of solid granite block. And you can see the block are real, they're large, and I'm sure they're plenty heavy.
So I heard that, what's her name? Woman who played Aunt B.
AB,
Yeah, she did not like Andy Griffith at all.
I'm gonna tell you about that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Yeah,
She was a character.
yeah.
She was a character. And that'll be on down towards the end of the tour. Our Fallen Soldier Memorial right there. It was all built out of granite, and there's a lot of names there. We've got our police department here, and our library up here. If you notice, everything in this area down here is built out of granite. You got the statue right there of Andy and Opie. That's the opening of the show every time. Folks, the Playhouse building right there is the auditorium. That was part of the elementary school that sat right there in that parking lot where he went to elementary school. Now I mentioned Haymore Baptist Church just a little while ago. This is where Andy was going to church until he moved up to the Moravian Church on the north end of town. The only church building was here back in his day was that big building right there. His mom and daddy, he went right there. The building was built in 1922. Occasionally on the show, Andy would say, "Barney, go to the school crossing." Andy wanted to get rid of him for a little bit. He done got on his nerves. Well, that crossing's right up here in front of us. "Barney, go to the school crossing at Haymore and Rockford." And right here we are, folks. Haymore and Rockford. Right there is Andy's home place right there. I'm gonna stop here for a few minutes, tell you the story about the house. I told y'all a little while ago they had no place to live until he was 9 years old. They lived with family members and people around that let them come in and stay a while, and they had to go. His daddy worked for the furniture factory. His mother worked around, made a little money. They saved $600. Came over here and bought a boarded up building or a shack, you might call it, from the door over to the left corner, that flag, where the flag is. There was only 3 rooms there. The front door to these 3 rooms is where that window is on the left side today. They had no bathroom, they had a privy in the backyard. His mother would keep him by the wood cook stove in the wintertime to keep him warm. He lived like that for about 9 years. He left here, went down to Carolina, Manio, New York, and California. Show was started, doing good, making good money. His mother and daddy was still living in those 3 rooms. He had the house remodeled and added on to from the door to this right corner over here. They added on a big living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, back porch, whatever it took to bring it up to the standards of the 1960s. He'd done it, give it to them, and it was theirs. They lived there until 1966. They were getting on up in age. And he had nobody here that was going to look after them, take care of them, and do things for them they could not do for themselves. He brought them out to California where he was at, put them in a nice home, and that's where they lived at until they passed away. That's where they buried it. He did not bring them back here. Now, eventually, the house was sold. The owner of the Hampton Inn over here bought it. And it'll always be a place people can come and see where Andy spent part of his time growing up. It's also a bed and breakfast. You can go to the Hampton Inn, make your reservations, come over and stay. But I will tell you this, It could be 6 months to a year to get a night. It stays booked up pretty much all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple in the car a few weeks ago. They took them a year to get 2 consecutive nights. And it could be quicker than that, I don't know.
But it is a minimum 2-night stay, correct?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
The Andrew Griffith Mayberry's phenomenon is worldwide. Last year in these cards of ours, in one particular month, we had people from all 50 states and 17 countries. People come here looking for Mayberry, and it's not all about Andy. It's all about Mayberry. There was 249 episodes of that show, and there was a life lesson and a moral point made in every last one of them. If you watch it, you'll see it in your hearing. Can you believe it's been on television now 64 years? 64 years. Nobody, including Andy, ever thought this thing would be what it is, but it is a big thing. Now, does anybody have any questions?
So I heard that Ron Howard could not actually throw a rock. Is that true?
He did not throw the rock.
Right.
No. Well, he was 5 years old, and they gave him 3 chances to throw that rock. He couldn't do it, and not make it do it what they wanted it to do.
Yeah.
So they put a man out there between the camera and the water, and that's who done it. Sure is. He told the company one day he was tired of flying back and forth to North Carolina, where his wife and home was at. And if they wanted to continue Matlock, they'd have to bring it to Carolina. When the show was finished and shut down, Andy retired. He went on back down to Mania, where his wife and home was at. There he lived until July the 3rd, 2012. Andy passed away, and he was 86 years old. Andy's wishes were to be buried in a particular spot on the 82-acre estate that he'd picked out. He wanted to be buried within 4 or 5 hours of his death. Did not want to be embalmed. He did not want the public to know it for a period of time. He knew if he got out early, thousands of people may try to invade Manio to see something they were never going to see. When it was announced, the only people that showed up was at 6 o'clock news, and that's what Andy wanted. So all his wishes were granted, and his legacy's been made. Betty Lynn, Thelma Lou, Barney's girlfriend, was invited to come to the Mayberry days in '07. She came. She was here between 3 and 4 weeks. Fell in love with Airy and the people around her. Told everybody when she got ready to leave, you know, I might be back. She went back to California, took care of business, came back to Mount Airy and moved into a retirement center. There she lived the last 14 years until she passed away 2 years ago at the age of 95. A very sweet, very humble lady. She had no family anywhere and never married. She wanted to live out her days right here in Mayberry, and that's exactly what she done. So her legacy made too. Aunt B was born in New York. She was a Broadway actress and a movie star. Andy said in an interview he done before he passed away, from the minute that she signed the contract to do Aunt B, nobody on earth could get along with her. Her attitude was, I'm a Broadway actress and I'm a movie star. There was always somewhat of a rift between her and Andy, the characters and the people that worked there. And that went on for 8 years. When the show was finished and shut down, she retired. And you've heard the name Siler City on this show. Siler City is about 2 hours southeast of us from right here. She moved into a rather large home down there, and this is what people tell us. She moved in and lived like a hermit. Did not get along and did not make friends. They called her the cat lady because she lived with so many cats. We've been told, whether it's true or not, she had 19 in the house when she passed away. Whether it's true or not, we've been told the man that bought the house, they had to gut it to clean it up. So you can only imagine what that was. But Andy did say in his interview, about 4 months before she passed away, in 1989, she called him and apologized. Apologized to him. It won't move. Apologized to him for all the things she said and done to him and the rest of them. So hopefully all that got straightened out before it's too late. Now, I got a couple more things for you. The service station building set right there to your right rear. That was built in 1937 by Mr. Wallace Smith. He was Andy's daddy's third cousin. His nickname was Wally. When Goober came along on the show, they had to build a service station building to fit his character. They built it, and Andy decided that it would be named Wallace. And you spent time in around this building right here growing up. So when you folks get home, you can tell everybody you have been to the real Wally's since 1937. You've been to the real Mayberry. The Darling's cabin is right down in the back. Y'all been right here in the jail yet?
No.
Not yet. We'll be sure to go in there. It's set up just exactly like Andy's office was on the show.
Going into the Mayberry Courthouse. Let's see.
Okay.
Go in here. Old school TV. I wonder if the water works. Nope.
Okay. Here. Very good.
I might break this bed. Probably shouldn't be sitting in that thing. Close that back. Some kind of heater. Furnace heater. Donations. So you got an old school record player here. Sit in this rocking chair. There's some fake wooden looking guns over here. Got the little intercom system that Barney Fife would be using. Let's sit down here. Andy, please come to the jail. Justice of the peace. Oh yeah, I gotta get a selfie right here. Turn this around. Mount Airy had a 6-man police force in 1921. So they got their names out here. Got Floyd, Opie, Andy, Barney, Otis, Aunt B, Boober, Ernest T, Delma Lou, Miss Crump, Emmett, and the Darlings. Why if it says Darlings there? This over here says Darlins, like Darlins. I don't know. I don't know if it has any kind of reference, but this says Darlins. Not sure if it's supposed to say Darlings, but I don't know. So this is the Darlins house. And supposedly they were local hillbillies that were on the show. And this is the house that they lived in. Now I wonder if I can get in this thing. You know how I am. I want to get into places, but I cannot get in that door. Look, it's screwed shut, unfortunately. Be awesome to get inside there though. Probably a major safety hazard. But yeah, this was their humble abode that they lived in while they were living here in Mount Airy. So they have a lock on there, unfortunately. But yeah, the Darling's house. So if you're a fan of Andy Griffith Show, you'll know who these people are. The Darling Farm. Get any mail? Nope. So I made it about 5 or so miles away from downtown Mount Airy and ventured over to the Ng and Chang bunker gravesite. So they were born 1811 and passed away in 1874. They were conjoined twins born in Siam, toured widely in the US before settling nearby to a farm in 1839. And their grave is 100 yards west, which would be right over there behind that church. And I'll take you there in just a second. So I wanted to come out here because this wasn't a part of my Andy Griffith Day, but I still wanted to come out here because I'm going to walk over there. The Ng and Chang gravesite is a popular tourist attraction here in Mount Airy. So some really interesting facts about the twins. They were living, I think, in Wilkesboro as tobacco farmers. And they owned a plantation with slaves. So these twins moved to North Carolina, I think somewhere in Wilkesboro, settled down as tobacco farmers, ended up owning a plantation and had slaves on that plantation. So that's a very interesting, fun fact about the twins. So how did they die? That's probably what everyone is wondering if you have not heard about this story. So it's a very interesting story, to say the least. So from what I read, Chang ended up having a stroke and his right side ended up being paralyzed. His leg had to be put in a sling, so he was unable to be mobile. And I guess during that time, he became kind of depressed, started to drink very heavily, and ended up contracting bronchitis during the wintertime. And unfortunately, in the early morning, I think it was sometime in January, he had passed away because he had difficulty breathing, obviously from having bronchitis. So he ended up passing away. One of, I think, the bunker's sons came in there to check up on Chang, realized he was dead. That's when the son said, I think Chang had passed away, Chang is dead. To where Ng said to himself, well, then I need to go. So once he found out that his brother had passed, he said that he was going to go, and crazy enough, Ng passed away a couple hours later. So a very interesting story about these Siamese twins. They were married to 2 sisters, Sarah and Adelaide, and had 22 kids between the 2 of them. So I know this wasn't part of my Andy Griffith Day, but learning about these twins, and this is a very big tourist attraction. People come from all over the world to see this gravesite. So I said that I had to come out here and see it because I was so close to it. So yeah, crazy story, interesting, right here in Mount Airy. And it's right here with a pretty awesome view. I mean, you have the mountains and the horizon back there. It's up on top of this hill with the church down there below. Yeah, really cool spot to be laid to rest at. So I made it to the top of Pilot Mountain, and off in the distance is a killer insane view that I'm going to show all of you real quick. Go ahead and check this out. You have downtown Winston-Salem way off in the distance, way on down there, about 20-30 miles away. And then down over here you have Mount Mitchell, and off over there would be Grandfather Mountain. But just a spectacular, amazing view. Got a hawk up there flying around, or maybe an eagle, I'm not sure. Another one right there. Hard to tell. But yeah, I wanted to end the video here today atop of the Pilot Mountain State Park. Pretty amazing day. Going out and seeing the downtown Mount Airy area, going on the squad car tour, learning the history of the Andy Griffith Show, seeing the boyhood home of Andy Griffith, the statue, the museum. Pretty awesome day. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the Andy Griffith Show, but watched it occasionally. I know about the show, obviously. My grandfather watched it, so I watched it because he loved it. But just learning the history of it and riding around in that squad car was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here for today. Again, at the top of Pilot Mountain with this insane killer view. Again, either a hawk or an eagle flying off in the distance there. But if you could, like this video, also subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to me and would help this channel out tremendously. And also ring that notification bell. That way you will be in the loop for future videos that I upload here on this channel. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for this video. As always, take care and explore carefully. I will see you all in the next one.